You're listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is all about helping you grow your real estate investment portfolio and live the life you want to live. Come grow with us and join our community at thereiteclub.com. And now your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.
Because in Canada, there's about 530 million square feet of office retail space, and that has to be filled.
Do you think that's happening in other cities? I know you mentioned Toronto. You know, this is, there's likely somebody listening in Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary. Do you think this is going to be in major cities across the country?
Yeah, I think the major cities, the Torontos, the Calgarys, the Vancouvers, are going to take a bit of a hit. And again, I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think. You know, it's going to be bad, but not as bad as people think. Because a lot of people have to realize something. Businesses are about talent. That's the key thing about business, talent. Now, why am I talking about business, not about real estate? Because as a landlord, where I make money is when I have great tenants. And great tenants are businesses with great talent. In order to bring talent to a business, the business has to have a great culture. To have a great culture, you must have a great environment. But to have a great environment, you must have great office space. So to get good talent, you must have good culture. To get good culture, you must have good environment. To get good environment, you have to have great office space. For instance, if I have a basketball team, I can build a great arena. That's the great location. But if I bring somebody who's not a key player, we're not going to get great results in that business. You see, so you have to bring a LeBron James, or you have to bring, let's say, a Michael Jordan talent to the business, which then draws. It means that each person at the business is going to have to bring their game up. At the same time, that talent brings in more business. At the same time, that talent teaches younger people to be better, and there's more leadership. So that's the businesses I'm focusing on. And these large businesses, they need space, because talent is not going to show up to a little dinky office or virtual office. Now, maybe in 10 years, they will, because the only thing that's happened with COVID is where we are in 2021. Now, you know, ultimately by 2029, we would have to be more decentralized. COVID forced us to be there sooner. But big talent, they want to see that big sign. PricewaterhouseCoopers, they want to see Bank of Montreal. They want to see that big company stuff. So all that to say to you, big companies are still going to need space. They're not going to just disappear and run away from Toronto, because we rent space because of talent. We need to bring talent when you look the part.
Yeah, and I think, as you know, obviously the virtual and the work from home, that type of that office space, everybody does seem like it was almost like a mass exodus or a forced exodus from it, and companies and businesses were really pushed in that situation of how do they adapt into that virtual world. And now you are seeing it now, people still coming in, getting together in smaller groups and safe social distance and need that area. But maybe what are some of the industries that, you know, are resilient? Like I think of like medical, right? And doctors and pharmacies and things like that, where you can't go, you know, maybe some cases there are virtual doctors. I don't know if there are out there, that'd be really weird. I don't know. But like, what are some of the industries that if you're buying a building or you're looking at a building to potentially buy, you're saying, okay, these are the type of industries that I want to attract so that I can make sure that it can, you know, withstand those issues?
Yeah, so, you know, when it comes to offices, you know, I do like the accounting firms, I do like the law firms, because even though these things can be done with workers at home, the fact is there's a certain amount of security that's required. There's a certain amount of talent that has to come together to share knowledge back and forth. So if it's legal, accounting, if it's medical retail, any way, shape, or form, even though, let's say, cosmetics and hair and beauty and gyms have not done well in this pandemic, it's still going to be required. It's still needed, because you have to go to the gym here where you live. You can't just send your muscles to China, have them fixed, and then sent back. You literally have to be here to do it. So any business that requires you to be here is going to be something that's needed. But, you know, I made a few notes. If you're into businesses that do airflow, you know, like that, it's looking at a building and improving its airflow, those are businesses that are going to do really good. Cleaning systems, businesses that clean, businesses do really good. Any sort of touchless systems. So if I have a company right now who's renting from me, and they invent touchless systems for buildings. So Now they have expanded tremendously. So really, you would look at all the one businesses that have worked very well in COVID, and those are the ones you want to start with, and then you want to fall off to most likely the ones that can survive a recession, and then maybe the internet after. So
Awesome. So there's a lot of investors thinking maybe I should get into commercial real estate. It seems really interesting, and I could reach out to some of those businesses or try to attract some of those businesses that you just mentioned that are quote unquote recession proof. So in all crises, or in this case a pandemic, and there's likely going to be some kind of economic turmoil, I don't know to what extent, there's wealth that gets created, right? The opportunity could be extremely great, like great for people that take advantage of it. So what are some things that people can start doing now, whether it's door knocking, starting to talk to the owners, looking at certain plazas? I'm just giving you examples, you don't have to use those, but what are some things that people could do so that they don't miss the opportunity to be able to get some potentially discounted opportunity, discounted commercial real estate?
Well, this year so far with my mentees, we found about 14, now we're up to 16 off-market deals. And you know what? That's in the pandemic year. So it means that people, and by the way, most of the people that we spoke to did not plan to sell their property until after we spoke to them. Of course, we went through a process. So people right now are on the fence. And if you present to them, you create that connection and you plant the seed about perhaps selling, some people want to move on to that next level. And I find that it's really getting out there and speaking to property owners or, plaza owners, multifamily business owners, or even office building owners, and to see if they're ready to move on. And, if I talk to 12 property owners, I find that one says, hey, you know what? It's a miracle that you showed up. We were just thinking about selling. Another one says, I'm not selling, but make me an offer. And once that settles in and that boils down, now they really want to sell. 6 of the 12 will say, not selling, still growing. To those, we figure out what they want and we assign properties to them. So the one who's selling, I may not even buy. I might assign that property to that person. When you assign a $2 million building, getting a $100,000 assignment fee. And then the other 4 who are not looking at moving or doing anything, sometimes they have equity, and you can convince maybe one of them to invest with you in another joint venture where you're the arms and legs because they're too tired. And maybe another one, it has their property, for retirement, but they still want to be in the game. So you're the arms and legs. So quickly, you talk to 12 people, if you talk to them the correct way, 2 will sell, 6 will want to take over a deal that you can assign them to them. 2 of the other 4 will end up probably allowing you to do some kind of JV with them, or financing you with their equity. Hey, but I think you said it, Sarah. You have to get out there and do something about it, not just sit back and say, "Wow, scary times. I should sit home." I don't want to go out there and I might get eaten by a wolf.
Yeah, absolutely. Before Alfonso asks you questions, like, is there a specific type of commercial real estate that somebody out there could be looking for, like any for lease signs, or is there like any signs that maybe say, hey, this person could be interested in potentially selling, like any telltale things?
So right now, multifamily is selling more than strip plazas and office buildings, only because the banks are still financing multifamily. What would normally take 30 days might now take 45 days. If you use CMHC, it would take 4 months. But you can still get plazas and strip plazas and offices financed, but sometimes the big banks aren't doing it. Sometimes you have to go to a secondary bank, pay a little bit of a higher interest rate, maybe 5%, 4.99% for maybe a year or 2, and then you jump out. So you can do both, but again, it's a bit more difficult to finance plazas. There's no real telltale signs of which building. It's pretty much you have to contact the owner, and there are ways to do that by speaking to tenants or speaking to the property managers. And once you contact the owner, it's having that question, hey, I'm here, I want to buy your building. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'm calling, I'm in front of your place, I like it, I want to buy it. They're like, you want to buy my building? I go, I want to buy it. Well, it's not for sale. I know it's not for sale, but I love it. And you know what? I love to make an offer. Can we talk about it? All they can say is yes. They can say no. They can say maybe. If they say no, I'll say, hey, you have something else? I'd love to do business with you on that other property. I mean, I'm an investor. I have some donkeys in my portfolio. Maybe you have a donkey or two you want to sell. Maybe not this building. I'll take a donkey.
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast and joining our community of real estate investors online at thereiteclub.com, where the focus is about helping you grow. We look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks from your hosts, Sarah Larby and Alfonso Salemi.